think what made me get into DSLRs and shooting video with them in the first place was really that whole aesthetic that I've been trying to achieve with video cameras all my career. That sort of 35mm film look. And this gave it to me in a small package. And the quality was just mind-blowing for me. It was like everything I've been trying to get and then some. And for a price which was beyond belief at the time. It's like, sorry, that's how much this camera costs. For me, it was like, thank God, I was buying rigs which were costing more than this to make my older cameras with 35mm adapters and all sorts of other things I was trying to make turn into film. I was suddenly getting from this camera. So for me, it was that whole combination of the 35mm look and the size and the price. It just excited the hell out of me. It's interesting the way that the whole sort of thing has taken. It's the way that it did start slow, and it started slow with me as well, I have to say, because it took me, I think, 7 months from when the 5D Mark II came out before I bought one. I was actually kind of resistant against it because I'd messed around with the D90 just prior to that, the Nikon which was the first DSLR to have video, and it was awful. It was so many issues with it. I was like, if this is the way things are going, I'm not interested. I'm going to stick with my 35mm adapters. The 5D Mark II came out. I saw that it had all these auto functions, so there was no manual control. I saw it at 30p, and I was like, I have no interest in it. It wasn't until somebody thrust the camera into my hands and said, Phil, shoot with it. And I did, and all those limitations I just didn't care about. I saw the picture. And I think that's what's happened is a lot of people have been resistant to it. You know, it's a small camera. They're kind of thinking this can't be any good. But as soon as they start using it, they fall in love with it. And it's kind of that word of mouth and just the whole getting their hands on it just made people realise just how good it is. Prior to using the 5D and the DSLRs, I was trying to do this look and feel with 35mm adapters anyway. And what these cameras has given me is that quality and that look within such a smaller package and a more usable package. And for me, especially in my documentary filmmaking, the ability to film in places where I can't film normally and get quality which is just mind-blowing. And one of my favourite things to do in my downtime is to go out and shoot myself. Just go and do stuff just for my own pleasure. And taking a big camera and a big tripod that's like work. Taking a small DSLR out with a small tripod and just capturing some images and things like that is just the best thing in the world for me. I think what I'm very much still using still lenses because of the cost factor of them. The fact is I can have a huge variety of lenses for a very effectively small amount of money compared to what a cinema lens would cost me. And I think the quality out of them is fantastic. If you get past the issues you have with the infinity focus and things like that, it's fine. And I use a lot of the Zeiss lenses as well because they have the hard stops and they have a really nice feel to them. I often vary the way that I shoot in my kit bag. I can sometimes go off with a crazy amount of gear and do stuff, or I can just go out with one camera and one lens. I actually almost enjoy that more than anything. That whole freedom of just one camera, one lens, and that just a way of trying to get the most out of that. It's a very freeing experience. It's nice to go out with all these lenses, but you spend most of the time just swapping between them and like, oh, I'm going to put my long lens here, I'm going to put my wide lens here. And just have one lens, it just makes you think so much harder about stuff. So my kit bag has gone through this evolution of having an enormous amount of kit when I first got the camera and like, oh, I get all these toys, I can use this. So now I've realised I sort of brought it down to the absolute essentials. I got back to the key thing about these cameras, which is the size and being portable. Initially with stuff for the 5D was always online. It was the first stuff I saw, of course, was Vincent's Reverie. I saw that online. It looked beautiful. And then I started shooting my own stuff and thought this looks great on the computer. An interesting fact is the newer computers I got with their brighter screens, things started looking not quite as nice. I was going, how come I'm getting noisy images with these cameras now? And I never used to. And I realised it was actually my newer computers with their super bright screens bring up all the nastiness. And then I was really worried about how it would look like on a big screen after going down this route of these computer screens being so bright. And then the first time I ever saw footage put on a big screen, a proper big screen with a proper projector, was at Skywalker Ranch, which was in the Stag Theatre. It's a 44-foot screen. It's like the best movie theatre in the world. They've got everything of the best there. And I was shitting myself because I assumed having cut the piece that I'd shot for them, sitting on the computer and saw, some of the banding and some of the artifacts and thinking, oh God, what's this going to look like on a 44-foot screen? And it didn't help that it was George Lucas who was in the movie theatre watching this to look at the footage, and Rick McCallum, the producer for Lucasfilm, and Ben Burt, the legendary sound designer, and bloody Quentin Tarantino was in there as well. And I was like, this is the first time I've ever seen my stuff on the big screen, having no idea if it would hold up or not. And it came out the big screen, and I was looking around and like, I can't see any of these issues that I saw on my computer screen. A great projector just makes everything sing. And it's the same with anything. It's amazing just how nasty computer screens can make your stuff look. Put it on the big screen, it just looks $1 million. Yeah, I think a lot of people are taking the whole concept of these cameras, and yeah, I mean, they do work great as B cameras and C cameras on large productions, but a lot of people going back to their filmmaking roots by using these cameras and keeping it small. I was lucky enough to be at the South by Southwest last year, or this year, and I got a chance to meet up with Robert Rodriguez. I went to his house, and he was showing me a music video he just shot on the 5D. And he was like a kid with a new toy. He said, this is like going back to how I started. Because he'd got more successful and started using more and more expensive cameras. And suddenly and it started getting big and complicated. And he suddenly shot with the 5D for the first time, and he just jumped out of the car to do this music video with the talent and just started rolling. And it's like, this is like El Desperado, this is fantastic. It's interesting to wonder, a lot of the stuff that I see online, I'm not even sure what it's been shot on, because I actually quite like it when people post stuff on Vimeo and don't say what camera it's shot on, because often people are too caught up in what the camera is that's shot on. It's nice to just see something and accept it for what it is. And I can see it and I can tell that it's shot at a 5D, and it doesn't matter to me. But I mean, I've seen some stuff out there which I think there's two key players out there who've done some amazing stuff. One is Tom Lowe with his timescapes and his southwestern lights. His film is going to be completely beyond beauty when I see it. It's going to be the new Baraka. And Dan Van Dennis's To Hell and Back. I mean, it's just taking that camera on a glide cam into a war zone and embedding yourself and getting cinematic quality on this camera. This is something I personally would never imagine doing because it would scare the crap out of me. But he's taken cinema into the real world and captured it. And I think it's his stuff. It's kind of like the polar opposites. It's the real life documentary and then the absolutely utter beauty that you can capture with these images. Those two different ends of the spectrum, these impressed me the most. I mean, certainly, if you look at something like the season finale of House, which looked stupendous, it was one of the most stunning pieces of television visually that I've seen in a long time, and the story was great as well, and it worked for that storyline. It worked really well, and they are using it in this new season. I mean, just what concerns me is if people are going to get a little bit snotty about it, because there are a lot of people who are being snotty about the actual issues of the camera. We're talking about, the sort of resolution and the wiring, things like that. And there is always going to be a holdout amongst it, especially when you go to Hollywood. There's always going to be people who are very reluctant to accept something fully. And for independent filmmakers, this is totally the way to go. When it comes to Hollywood, I don't think so. I honestly don't think it's going to be the next big thing. I think things like the Ariel X and things like that, sure, I think they're going to be very much used in that respect. But I think for the independent filmmaker, the grassroots people out there, the people who are out filming every day, and they are their own creators, they're the ones who are using these cameras and getting the best stuff out of them. Yeah, I do believe that they are being used in lots of bigger budget productions, but I don't see it being used as a replacement for high-end cameras. This camera gives you absolute freedom to create stuff which you couldn't do before. And it's interesting that we're currently sitting in a university that teaches film. And in the old days, this would be the only place you could come to get your hands on gear that would let you shoot high quality images. And now you talk to the students who come here, they've already bought Canon 5Ds or 550Ds or 7Ds. They're already owning their own gear. And a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, this would not be the case. They now have the ability to actually go and buy their own gear themselves and actually go and shoot them stuff themselves without having to get the kit out of the film school and go and use it. They can go and buy themselves their own stuff. I've recently been playing with some of the newer camcorders, which have got the large sensors in, which are exciting in their own way, in that they get away from some of the limitations we have, but they're going back to the different sort of size that what we've kind of moved away from. And I'm trying out newer DSLRs and new different models, and having an absolute joy with them, like the Canon 60D. I'm loving because that flip out screen. I'm really excited shooting with that. It's a lot of fun. And the GH2, which is even smaller than the Canons, has given me some incredible images. I'm like, whoa. And it's so small. I went out with it, and it's got electronic viewfinder, so you're holding it up to your eye. So you're not even using a Z finder or anything like that. And you're really being completely discreet about any filming. Nobody knows what you're doing. And looking at the images, I was like, holy shit, this is really good. And I'm still absolutely besotted with DSLRs. There's no way on earth, even, with the Sony F3 and F100, which I am going to use in certain projects without a doubt. And I still use full-size cameras on a lot of my jobs. But whenever I go back to the small cameras, I just get really excited because I know the images out of them are just so beautiful and they're so small. People, I'm in contact with a lot of people out there, whether they're professionals or they are complete amateurs, as in they have a day job and at weekends are shooting, and they're coming up with some fantastic work. I was a judge on the Vimeo competition for Beyond the Still, and I got to watch all of these entries. And there were some, some okay ones, but there were some fantastic entries there, and I was just absolutely blown away. And something, I got this email yesterday from this kid, a 12-year-old kid in America who's got a 5D, and he set up a film production company with his 5-year-old brother. It's unbelievable. And I looked at the video and went, that's really cool. It's really good. I mean, his dad is a stunt man in Hollywood, so he has that extra bit of backing behind him. But he's a 12-year-old kid with a 5-year-old brother set up his film production company with a 5D. It's bloody nuts. Yeah. I want to go and fly out and meet this kid and have a chat with him, because that is what excites the crap out of me. This is the new Spielberg. This sort of person who's, the old Spielbergs and things like that, they use their Super 8 cameras and they make movies. We have a flood of work out there, an absolute, we're completely deluged with stuff at the moment on Vimeo and places like that of people shooting with these cameras. But there's stuff that stands out, and you go, this person, has got absolute talent, is going to go a long, long way. And yeah, there's some certain stuff out there which is just like really real quality. I'm really excited about the stuff I shot for George Lucas, for Red Tails. I've got 250 shots in the new movie. It comes out in the summer. And I think going to movie theatre and sitting in there and watching my stuff that I shot on this lowly little camera cut in with these bloody expensive, enormous cameras and go, that's my shot. And my friends will go, really? Yeah, that's my shot. That's my shot. That's really going to be exciting. And just to see, because I know I've already seen the stuff, you can't tell. I think the whole sharing aspect that we've come across in the past year or 2 years has been key to this. Has been everybody learning with each other, and when you learn something, you share it with somebody else. I think that's been key, and I've been very much pushing for people to actually meet each other, not just talk to each other online. It's actually get people together in the real world and meet each other, and it's actually been really effective. I've done this mostly actually in the States and other places I've been to abroad, but I did this recently in London. I had what's called a meetup where all these people who were shooting with DSLRs all got together. We all got together in Piccadilly Circus, and there was like 200 people there, all with cameras. It was nuts. And that was really bloody exciting. So all these people, and the cool thing is, each time I go to these places, they then start their own set of meetups, and they just carry on doing it. Every month we're having our monthly meetup, and they're like, I see, that's cool, and they just carry on doing that. Each place has got a community, which is, they all meet up and they work together. So when they have a project and they need somebody else to help them out with, they've got people they've already met who are doing the same thing. So the community is not just an online community, it's becoming a real community. And it has made everything really small, because I now have friends all over the world who I've never met. Some of them I have met, some I haven't met. And we've all become really good friends because of these cameras. They've all brought us together for our love of filmmaking and the quality of these images. I think to get people together who have got similar interests and are shooting the same things, and a chance to see people's work projected properly is a fantastic idea. Just getting everybody together in the same place, and just it's that whole community aspect and that whole sort of like getting to know each other, I think is a really important thing. There's a lot of film festivals out there and things like that, but I think this is much more of just a sort of more of a social festival, rather than like, here's your prize and here's your prize and here's your prize, where people are going into it because they want to win something. They're going into it to see other people, to meet other people, and to just share. And I think that's a really cool thing. It can be a bit overwhelming at times, the amount of stuff that's asked of me from people and is expected of me, and I can only do as much as I can. And I do have somebody who's helping me out a bit now, but I almost want to try to keep as hands-on as I possibly can, because that's the whole point of it, is that people write to me and asking me my advice. I don't want somebody else to do it for me. I want to do it myself. I want to give my advice as much as I can. And that's kind of why, I've got the site going, and I've got the blog going, and hopefully most information is there, so they can find it, and I'm not some distant person who keeps secret everything. I'm very much there. You write to me on Twitter, I'm most likely going to reply to you. You write to me an email, I'll eventually reply to you once I get through all the other stuff. Yeah. It's all about, there's a lot of people look to me, and there's good and bad things to that. As soon as you say something positive about something or other, you're considered, he's obviously been bought by such and such and such, so he's obviously on their payroll and stuff like that. I'm not on anybody's payroll. And all you have to do is just see the fact that I'm shooting with Nikons, Canons, Panasonics, and I don't care. I have no care. I don't care what the make is. I care what the image looks like and how much fun I'm having with it. And without a doubt, there's anybody who says that these new cameras which are coming out, these video cameras with large chips, are going to kill DSLRs, absolute nonsense. There is no DSLR killer. DSLRs that shoot video are here to stay. This form factor, this price point, this image quality is just too damn sexy to disappear.